watching and listening to this podcast. I am Jogile from OneMindZone, the holistic health and wellness platform based in Barcelona. And today I'm back with episode 12 of Inspirational Conversations, the podcast that inspires you on how to reach a balance of body and mind in any possible way. As there are endless ways to become a more balanced person in this chaotic world. And one of those ways to get balance for me has been Tibetan Buddhism for many years. And this is the topic what we're going to speak today a lot about. And this beautiful life friendship between me and Tibet started when I was 16 during the Dalai Lama visit in Lithuania in 2005. And I had a chance to experience and see Tibetan monks from India doing the Sand Mandala of Avalokiteshvara at the Zhilinskas Gallery in my hometown in Kaunas. And I was deeply affected by that whole process as they were doing that mandala for 9 days and destroying it afterwards. And when I think, I still remember each moment from that event, and I still get the goosebumps when I remember how the process of the doing mandala, the monks, how they were chanting the mantras, and even the smile of His Holiness Dalai Lama when he was passing by, when he was leaving the event. And I have to say, this was the real door opener for me to come to spirituality. And from the day I bought my first book about Tibetan Buddhism, and one day I was dreaming about studying the Sanskrit language and going to live in Tibet. Apparently, it didn't happen. But my heart and my soul was always there, and this is why this episode is very, very close to my soul and to my heart, because I've been always wanted to have a guest speaking about this topic. And I'm very happy that today joined me to speak about this topic and much, much more, a Tibetologist and Tibetan Yantra Yoga teacher, Jan Dolensky. Hello, Jan. Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here. Nice to hear also your introduction. I didn't know all these things about your connection. I'm so excited to hear that. Very happy to be here.
I'm very pleased that you're joining me today, and because also years afterwards, when I lived in Berlin, I was already reading so many also different spiritual books, and by accident I had the book about the Dzogchen teaching in my hands, and this was also another door opener to discovering a new way of teaching. And through that I also discovered the Yantra Yoga, actually the most ancient yoga that exists. And I had a chance also to join the workshop in Berlin of Yantra Yoga and to take some regular practices for a while. So we're gonna have so many things to speak about today, because because we have so many things that is also interest me. So first things first, I know that you're also combining many different breath works, techniques, and so on in your teachings, while also teaching the Yantra Yoga and advising people. And you're also the active Buddhist practitioner as well. So I would also like to hear your story. Tell me, where did it all begin?
Well, it's a kind of nice to remember. It was when I think when I was kind of 17, I started to be kind of very interested in different spiritual teachings. But at that time, there was not much available in Czech Republic. It was shortly after the revolution, the communist regime fall apart. And also I was not living in such an environment. I had not like friends who would be interested in similar things. But slowly I got to know some people, and then At first, I was actually interested in psychology, in like Jungian psychology and psychotherapy. I did also some workshop about that and about some psychotherapy methods. And this brought me to decision to go to work to mental hospital in Prague. It was a big mental hospital. And I was interested to understand how mind works and also how psychosis, for example, is working. And also, I had a kind of, how to say, spiritual view of mental suffering also. And at that time, I also met first Buddhist practitioners in Prague. It was already in Prague. And I was quite skeptical in the beginning, I remember, because I was more like convinced that I should be studying things that are like more domestic, or they are here
Mm.
already in Prague, and also study maybe a Christian tradition more and psychology. And but nevertheless, I went to see a teacher who came just around and who was coming actually regularly, and I was quite impressed. I think I was impressed by his somehow presence. Yeah, he was a
Mm.
Western teacher, but was a Tibetan Buddhist teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and then I remained somehow interested, and I joined also the group for practice. But I didn't feel there so at home somehow. Means I was still kind of open and looking more around. And then I had a different series of encounters that brought me to the decision to go to Italy to go to see Jogile Rinpoche, who was teaching there regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was a kind of a real beginning, the encounter with him. Yeah? Means, it means back to that. Means there was this psychotherapy, psychology interest, and somehow the also I did the training to. I was actually planning to become psychotherapist,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly came this encounter with Buddhism. And in the same time, there was a kind of, I was a little bit burned out from the work in the mental hospital. I was a little bit like upset, couldn't
Can
somehow,
imagine.
couldn't, yeah, so I was basically overwhelmed by that. Means, also for me, kind of also liberation. I kind of left this decision to go to continue in the training, but I went to study Buddhism, and I felt really relieved at the time because I felt it has much more to offer than the things that I encountered so far. Yeah, at least as I have understood them at the time. Yeah, and it started like that, and after basically was traveling around and planning the different practices and the teaching and try to apply.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Wow.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, but there was also a lot of, it was a quite tough time. I remember just because I listened also to the previous podcast that you have hosted
Mm-hmm.
with the astrologer, no?
Uh-huh.
And I remember because also it fits to the topic of psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was a little bit, I was not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to India, or I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I
Mm-hmm.
was sure I have to do something. I have to leave Prague. It
Mm-hmm.
was for me very clear. But beside that, I didn't know anything. I decided to see astrologer. Was a lady. She was already quite famous at that time. I know she studied astrology in Russia. She had a kind of a Russian
Mm-hmm.
traditional astrology. And because I was working also in tea room that time, serving a tea, and she would give lectures there. And
Ah.
so I got to know her. And I went to see her, and I remember it was a very beautiful encounter. It was close to the Karls Bridge in Prague, this in the downtown. We were sitting in a cafe, and I still recall that, like the presence, And then she had the chart that I still have. Yeah, it was 2000, means it's 21 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she would start to tell, and I could feel how suddenly, somehow the things were kind of falling apart, and I could see clearly many things. Yeah. And she told me also some things that I still remember. For example, she told me that my life is connected to live in the West. Or maybe she didn't say that in that way, but she said to the West is connected to your life. I thought, that's strange. I mean, I'm studying Buddhism, going to
To the
India.
east, no?
I'm going to India. I don't know. Anyway, but I felt so purified. Yeah, it was such a deep. I think it was also her human nature, her humanity, but also the skill, the tool that she was using. Yeah?
Mm.
This combination that also is needed also in psychotherapy or any kind of encounter, techniques. Yeah, and then I left. I remember that suddenly this clarity, this liberated state was kind of fading away. When I crossed the Carl's Bridge back to on my way to home, I suddenly had not anymore this kind of liberated state, but I was coming back to the normal.
True, normal.
But some things remained, yeah. And actually, uh, short afterwards, I was planning to go with a friend to India, but suddenly it turned out that I decided to go to US to a Buddhist center of my teacher. Means, but I'm not to the east, but to the west. Means it
It
was that
happened.
it happened somehow, yeah, and it continued actually also the coming years. Means it was a just nice remembrance of this
Exactly.
encounter also. Mhm.
Because it's also, as you say, you didn't plan, but everything like the destiny planned by itself actually, and everything actually went pretty harmonious.
Yes,
If you listen it.
yes, yeah, yes.
And at the now, as I know, you're also teaching a lot of different breath work techniques to people. And when was your first experience of the breath work, or maybe better to say, when did you first realize the potential that the breath work can bring to your life?
Well, I think the first kind of memory that I have and experience was connected to Yantra Yoga practice and smoking. It was short after I met Jogile Rinpoche and got to know also Yantra Yoga, and I took the decision to go to West Massachusetts to stay there, work there, and to learn the practices, the teaching.
Mhm.
And at the time I would still smoke. I was not heavy smoker, but I had this, this habit, drinking red wine, reading books and smoking. And I liked it somehow very much. And then when I came to US, there were not so many people really smoking. I mean, so I was also not smoking really, but there was one person who was quite important for me. He was kind of very kind to me. He took me around. He showed me things, and he was also old practitioner already. He had a different teacher before who already passed away, 84. I mean, he had been studying Buddhism for a long time, but also he had this habit of smoking and drinking wine. And he had a car, like a van, like old Volkswagen
Mhm.
Transit, no?
Mhm.
And he would stay there and write a poetry, and I would hang out with him and also listen, and we would exchange. Basically, I would listen to him,
Mhm.
and I would also smoke, of course. And then, but I started also to practice Yantra Yoga at that time because I had this opportunity. There were already practitioners who knew that the
Mhm.
practice very well, and I joined the practice. And soon after, I realized that my breathing, which in Yantra Yoga is really crucial, it's kind of very constricted with the smoking. Means after a
So
short
actually,
while,
smoking, it's really limiting, right? The potential of the breath, no?
yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. I mean, there are many different ways how we can constrict our breath, but
Mhm.
smoking for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
And just soon after, I realized, okay, either I will continue on smoking or I will be doing yantra. And so I decided for yantra, and I left it out slowly. I didn't have the desire to continue smoking. But I could really see how the breath potentiality really developed after I stopped. After some time, it took some time. I could feel really how it was opening up, and now I could feel also the effect of the practice much more.
I also mentioned in the beginning that you are teaching different types of the techniques of the breathing. So we're gonna go now a bit speaking about different techniques you are teaching about. So you also teaching the coherent breathings. Can you describe this style and what are the benefits of this way of breathing?
Coherent breathing, the name was given by Stephen Elliott. He's an American researcher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about 2005, I think he had some experiences, and he was doing some research, and he gave the name to this technique. But of course, this technique on itself, the way of breathing like that, it's probably very old, just in the modern, to say word, the research came, and there is this name, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe in other traditions they would call it in different way. And the technique is very simple, actually. It says that we should apply the same length for the inhalation and for the exhalation, and
Mm-hmm.
also in quite a slow rate. Means is a not very fast breathing. Means
Mm-hmm.
according to the research, the best is to breathe about 5 to 6 breaths a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Means, for example, if I inhale 6 seconds
Mm-hmm.
for 6 seconds and exhale for 6, then it's 5 breaths a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This for 20 people, it's not difficult, no? But for a majority of people, it also could take some time to really slow the breath until it becomes comfortable to breathe like that. Because especially if we are like agitated and not used to work with our breath, and we are breathing much more, maybe 20 times a minute or even more.
Yeah.
And that's why for that, sometimes training is needed, but also can be trained easily. There are methods how we can train that. Then the other aspect is that, of course, our breathing should be more relaxed. Means especially the breathing diaphragm, the respiratory diaphragm, it should be really relaxed. Means we are kind of really making use of the abdominal breathing very much.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the whole body, but also this part should be really relaxed. Means the technique itself can help us to relax also the diaphragm. But if we do some training before, again, can be trained, can be addressed, and can be also relaxed, then it has much more effect. Means this also an important part. Means it's relaxed, and the inhalation, when we inhale, should be relaxed. Slow in the, let's say, the 6 seconds a minute, and in the same time not up to our full capacity. Means we are inhaling like half,
Mm-hmm.
like 40 to 60%. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Which means if we are sitting, for example, we can apply this method in sitting position or lying, and it would feel a little bit different. But we are
Yeah.
staying more in the lower part. It's not so much that we are breathing up to the chest, higher chest.
So it's
And
just in abdominals
it's
mostly.
not only abdominal, but it's mostly there. Yeah, it's a kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Doesn't go until here, like the whole
not so much.
diaphragmic. Mm-hmm.
And when it goes, then it goes without effort. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like they are forcing it. It's like a wave. With the inhalation, you have to put intention on you inhale in this slow paced, relaxed way, and you don't go very far. You just go to the half of the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say exactly how it should feel like, but each of us we will have some experience of that. And then the exhalation should be completely relaxed. It means the exhalation, we kind of just let go. We let the body to relax. It sounds easy, but again, it's difficult because sometimes we have the habit of also controlling our exhalation. And this creates a tension usually. But we have this habit. I have the habit also. Yeah, means take some also training, but can be also trained, and after few days, yeah, we can have already this experience. So we can begin to have kind of experience like of a wave, like wave coming in, and then
Doing
coming
the
out.
round and coming back.
Yes, exactly. It's like really I have the experience of a wave sometimes, which moves by itself after some time. And of course, the mind, no, the mind should be relaxed, present in body, and we have nothing to do. Just guide the breathing and let go the exhalation. Sometimes there are also for the exhalation applied um, mm, kind of a soft concentration. We can concentrate on different parts of body, which can help us to relax even more. But this is okay. This is another step. But basically, this is the technique. Means just summarized. It's the length of the breath is the same for inhalation, exhalation. Let's say 5 to 6 breaths a minute. There are many apps now these days. You can
As well.
download. Yeah, there are like applications that you can just choose there how long should be the inhalation and exhalation, even pauses in between. But here we don't apply any pauses. Yeah, sometimes also in yoga techniques or other breath works we apply pause.
Exactly.
For example,
Or the retention of the breath.
retention after this, for example, inhalation or after the exhalation. But here not. And it, according to the research, it shows, and it feels like also like that. I have experience with that for many years myself practicing. That it strengthens the smart vagus nerve. This is like
Yes.
the front vagus. Everybody speaks about it now. Means basically it relaxes and strengthens also the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. And yeah, means the ability also to relax, to be empathic,
Exactly.
to
To
feel
reduce anxiety.
reduce anxiety. Means it is used also in this context, for example, in people who have depression, anxiety, like that can really. And also in my experience is that it strengthens the lower dantian, as we say in Qigong. Like really, it kind of massages also the organs and somehow harmonizes. And I always feel there is kind of like it accumulates kind of energy in the lower part, like also the kidneys. And this is my experience that I have myself, because I do also practice Qigong. Sometimes I have this, I see this connection. And then what is important, and what we say, that there is also this heart rate variability, which is also quite known now. Means this breathing also strengthens this ability of our heart to increase the variability. Means then when the breathing is coherent and with the inhalation, the heart starts to beat a little bit faster. Yeah. But let's say the wave, it's always like that with inhalation. Yeah. When it's also relaxed, heart is a little bit faster. And the exhalation goes again down. Yeah. It becomes, the rate becomes bigger, slower. And it's like that. Means, but normally if we are like stressed and the breathing, we are not breathing in this way, and also we are, I don't know, trapped in emotions, then it's very chaotic. Yeah. If you see the rate, how the heart is beating, it's very chaotic. But here we are creating using this coherence between the breathing and the heart. Also on the deeper level, physiological level, we can observe also different effects on of the behavior of the blood circulation. But this is another bigger topic. Means there is a kind of a coherence which takes place, which creates again a bigger coherence with ourselves, but also with the surrounding. But we can observe it on our heart rate variability, for example. When this heart rate variability is strong enough, then we are also able to deal with stress in a more relaxed way. Because there is this, we are kind of trained, the heart is trained, and we don't lose the control. Yeah? The mind is stable also.
Exactly.
Because mind and heart also connected very much. Yeah, basically, this is like a short description of that.
Yes, I
There
can
is,
imagine you can also apply such a breathing technique while meditating as well, no?
I think it's also when we are relaxed. This is my impression. Yeah, doing practice, or then if we come to this breathing anyway somehow. This is also
Mm,
my kind of
naturally, no?
observation. Yeah, and of course, if we are aware of that, then we can also help, no? Because we can consciously influence our breath. And yeah, like Stephen Eliot is recommends that we should be breathing as much as we can in this way. But of
Yeah,
course, yeah, it depends. If you are running, trying to catch the autobus, or train, you're breathing in different means. Yeah, but it's interesting because also what it does, it's really slows down the breath. No, it's also in yoga we say that the life is measured with the number of the breath. Means somehow if you are
it's
breathing
true.
slow and relaxed, then yeah, somehow creating a space for whatever it's needed,
Exactly.
longer life maybe, or more clear mind. Yeah, means anyway, it's a good. It's also nice to experiment in gentle way with one's own body and breathing without there is no any danger. Sometimes, even though I have sometimes people they have experiences. At first, it's relaxing, and they feel then they are becoming more agitated with
Mm-hmm.
that. I have heard that also. But this is, I think, always like when we are used to be in stress a lot, then somehow in this first, maybe we have this experience of relaxation, but then somehow this habit of stress is kind of coming out. Means it's
Yeah.
usually like a reaction, but it's not the effect of this way of breathing. It's more the way how we react as a whole being to this decision. We want to slow down, we want to relax. There is a resistance also. Means, but otherwise, it's very safe method. You don't need uh, anybody to, somehow anybody can apply that.
Uh, there are many of the breathing systems that being studied and applied in the past and nowadays. What do you see as the particular advantage of the respira harmonious breathing? Because you also, I know you're also teaching that.
Well, yeah, I'm also practitioner of that. Means the technique was called harmonious breathing in the past, but now it's called respira. Means I sometimes use both, but it's called respira. The founder of this system decided to change the name for certain reasons. Anyway, means
It's the Italian name actually, no?
yeah,
Respira.
it's his name is Fabio Andrico. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say he's the founder is Fabio Andrico. He's also and it's in Italian exactly. It means to breathe. Yeah, like
Mm.
imperativum, respira. And um, Fabio Andrico he's also student of Chogyam Kainobu for a very long time. Chogyam passed away also 2018. And Fabio Andrico is also one of the main teachers of two main teachers of Yantra Yoga, of the Yantra Yoga tradition that Chogyam Kainobu
Mm.
was teaching in the West. And also my teacher, because I studied with him, Yantra Yoga as well. And this method is based on knowledge that comes from Yantra Yoga, the way how the breathing is applied there, which is very profound. Because I know I practice, I consider it as a profound. And then also knowledge of recent research about breathing, about this neurobiology things
Mm-hmm.
and aspects, and as well like the yoga anatomy and breathing anatomy. Means it combines like a different, again, like the old knowledge with the new knowledge, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And Fabio Andrico created a system which is simple in the sense that it can be applied almost by anyone, because it doesn't need to be you don't need to be flexible, like have a kind of a special training in breathing or body work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in in the breathing anatomy, we speak about like different parts of breathing, which is at first the respiratory diaphragmatic breathing, which is the abdominal breathing,
Mm-hmm.
then the intercostal, is like a then
Okay.
thoracic, which is like
Mm-hmm.
a chest, and also upper chest,
Mm-hmm.
clavicle, it's called also named. And the same takes place in our back, means the dorsal part of breathing. Means we are breathing like 360
Mm-hmm.
degrees, but we
Mm-hmm.
have usually the presence in front because our eyes are in front, but
Of course.
we are
I
breathing
just
like,
tried now to imagine because
yeah,
I
yeah.
did do the breath in and try to kind of feel it out.
I think if one eye would be like also here, then maybe we could
Yes.
focus more on the dorsal breathing. Means in this technique, we are not like trying to create something new, like a special way of breathing to achieve something. We are trying to create a space for like the original can take place. Means we have to try to reopen, reopen the sense, physically reopen with the connection, position, and breathing, and
Mm-hmm.
also the awareness, and observe that and let it to open, and just it comes back to the normal, to the which is maybe when we were born,
Yeah.
or more younger, or more relaxed, not so much conditioned, and means we are not creating something new, more we are creating space that original can manifest again. Means at first, no, we would have different series of exercises for opening
Mm-hmm.
the lower part of the body. There are different kind, so that anybody can do that, because some of the series are maybe more advanced for somebody, some are a little bit
Mm-hmm.
less advanced. And then the intercostal and thoracic and upper chest and the dorsal. Means different series that can help us to reopen like one of these parts
Mm-hmm.
of the body. Again, it is combined with presence and awareness. It's not like only that you take a position, you breathe, and then it's done. It takes time to slow, deeply breathing and relaxing and observing. And what we also
I guess it's
do,
a lot also with visualization to do as well, no? Because if you have to
well,
imagine that you
visualization.
inhale with the back and so on, or no.
Well, you can when you focus in the
Mm,
area where you are breathing in, this is already like enough, because
mm,
we say where the presence goes, the prana goes. Means when we focus on certain part of the body, automatically the breathing goes there, and also the subtle way of breathing, just the
mm,
prana, goes there. Means we don't have to visualize something like uh, special, but just a simple presence. Combined also in my experience with kind of a gentle attitude towards oneself. It's not like that I'm going to now to teach the body to go to back, to the normal.
yeah.
It's it needs to be, there has to be also this kindness, this towards one's own practice, and towards, of course, the surrounding as well. But it's also sometimes not so easy for us to accept that maybe we have to change. It also takes time, and it's not done right away. It's this attitude, also this relaxed kind of kind attitude towards oneself. It's also, I think, very crucial. And then just gentle presence and patience. And we have also exercises that can help us to coordinate all the four phases. Because at the end, we should be breathing also fully. For
Mm-hmm.
example, like in Yantra, we use a kind of example for the breathing, that we have a bottle of water, and when we fill up the bottle of water, then it goes from up, but it at first goes down and fills up from below up. No?
Mm-hmm.
And exhalation, the example of exhalation is when we empty the bottle, then at first it starts to go out from the top, no?
Mm-hmm.
From top to the bottom. Means
Exactly.
in this way, this is like kind of example of how the breathing should be. It's considered to be in Yantra Yoga and also in this method. And then we have also different exercises that can help us to understand this behavior of the breath. also that the breathing is not only like a center, but it goes to the ribs and to the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of more fluid, dynamic process than just kind of a mechanical breathing movement. Yeah, it's very dynamic. It's connected also with emotions and
A lot.
our
Yeah.
mind, relaxation. Means we are basically reopening and then try to reconnect all the phases together and observe. We have always exercises where we are active in the position.
Mm.
We breathe in the position, or we have positions connected with the breathing. Means we are moving while, so much we, of course, for example, inhaling or exhaling. Means we are combining also the breath with the movement.
Mm-hmm.
This is also something that comes from Yantra Yoga, which can be very effective for the opening of the breath. And yeah, and then we stay relaxed and we observe. Means we are not always doing something, but we also leave space for to see, to experience the fruition, the effect of the exercise. Sometimes also we use the touching our body in order to, because through the contact with the hands we have a much more direct connection also.
You also
Sometimes we
feel
use,
better how the body breathes. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes we use also kind of like a phantom touch.
Mm.
It's not even touching, but only being like close to the body. It's also in Qigong, it's applied like that. Means, yeah, we are applying very simple means and just using our own capacity of our body, our breath, which has been here since the beginning. Just sometimes we lose the connection to that.
Mm.
It is.
I remember in the past when I was joining this Yantra Yoga teaching workshop, I remember this was really challenging for me back then already to kind of in the beginning when we were doing this breathing exercises pranayama with the just with the closing the
Yeah,
sides.
yeah.
And for me, I was before was coming from more hatha yoga also doing, and there what we were having different type of the breathing, and I really realized that it's not hard, not easy actually to really learn to breathe in a specific way, because maybe how do you just have to let it go like a wave, as you were saying, it let as a wave going the breath
Mm-hmm.
out without controlling it. It might look like as an easy thing, but it's actually not at all.
Yeah, sometimes we are human. We make mistake. We have our habits. Yeah, we have to be patient and discover and just yeah, stay on the road.
We were speaking before about the Buddhism that, well, you also the active practitioner. In a way, Buddhism and I think psychotherapy they come from different directions actually. How can these two things be combined in therapy?
Mm. Well, this is a question that cannot be answered in a simple way, um, but kind of reflecting about this topic, as I'm also have experience in both fields, and also from both sides, like being a patient, being also a student of a Buddhist teacher, and also being a teacher who teaches some methods from the Buddhist tradition, and also being somebody who advises or
Mm,
accompanies other people.
mm,
Um, uh, I thought it's like when I think about psychotherapy, then or psychology, let's say, then I think this is something that we consider that it has a kind of roots more in our culture here in the Western part. You know, we call that in such a name. Although, like dialogical practices, where I think are very old, like before there was a psychotherapist, there was maybe a healer or a priest, or
mm.
somebody. I think it's always very old.
Oh, the shamans, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, sure. It's always like this human encounter and also some method or some ability of
Mm.
one of these two. Yeah? Um, it's quite old, I think. No? And Buddhism. I mean, you were also saying you encountered Tibetan Buddhism when you were 16, no? In
Mm.
a very beautiful way. I was about 20. And like till 20, I was living completely different life. Yeah, I mean, that's why I was so excited also to meet that. I mean, somehow I had already my own roots, somehow my own development, and definitely I was not raised in a Buddhist like culture, no.
Me
and
neither.
and also I don't know what it really means, because something like that I encountered Buddhism more like in a way of how it is transmitted or translated, yeah,
Mm.
into our languages, or also our way how we can understand it in a better way. But like in the context, like in the society in the East, Buddhism has also so many different forms. Uh, but the society generally, I think, is there used to be more like more collective. That people would keep like a family contacts, or maybe whole village, no, something like that, which has also, for example, I'm sure good sides, but also maybe not only, no.
Yeah.
But in the West, it's more like it was falling apart. This no connection of the community, also the connection to the nature. Yeah, I mean, in general, I don't say in all cases, but means. But I think also, like in the Buddhist tradition, when somebody was born there and then he knew all these uh, ideas, general ideas about Buddhism, and then maybe he decided to go to monastery, or the parents gave the monastery many
Exactly.
times.
That's how it happens there. Yeah.
Tibet was like that. He couldn't also choose, no.
Mm.
And then also he had their advisors, no, teachers or elder students. Means there was always also this dialogical process, I think, always like how is the practice going? Yeah, and I think it's
Exactly.
kind of like a psychotherapy. I mean,
Mm. Yeah.
it's not called like that, but they both have kind of the aim to um, to create a understanding, or to somehow lessen the suffering. No,
Yeah.
but suffering can be experienced in a different way, and we can have different understanding what suffering means. Maybe in the psychotherapy, we would say, let's say somebody could say, we are more interested in like recreating space for the patient, so that he can live his normal life, or he can do his work, he can communicate with his family, he can understand maybe the basis of his childhood,
Mm.
the way how he behaves now, and he can change that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same way, there is always, because we are spiritual being, means there is always the deeper wish, no? But sometimes, like at first, we feel like, oh, we have to understand something about ourselves, and try to somehow deal with the normal life in a better way. And then maybe we also stop the psychotherapy because we feel, no, okay, it's okay. But yeah, in the way to see the Buddhist practice never stops. Means we continue like that. But for example, when Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, he was a great important teacher in the US in the 70s, 80s, 60s. He died 84, I think, as I remember. Then when he came to the West, he said, oh, I think the psychology, this is the religion of the West. And from the beginning, he was interested also in the culture there. And then he founded the university, which is called Naropa University in
Mm-hmm.
Boulder, Colorado. And they would combine. There was the beginning of the contemplative psychotherapy or psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And they, from the beginning, they would try to combine, like to see how the Buddhist practice and also the knowledge, because Buddhism is a kind of deep psychology. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we look at that, it's really looks very deep. Yeah, into the cause of suffering. How this can be combined with like the methods or the psychology knowledge, psychotherapy knowledge of the West, and they would try to combine that, and that's also how this contemplative approaches um, mm, actually started to exist. And there are many examples for that.
Mm.
And means there they combined, and also this is why I was trained in these methods, in this tradition. Means for me, it is something that should be combined, should go together, um, especially for us in the West. But it doesn't mean that it's like mixed up, like a salad. But it has to be skillfully understood, like both parts, and also it has to be fitting to the patient, or to the situation.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that also we are teaching Buddhism. It's not about that. It's more like understanding the essence, how
Mm.
the mind is understood, and in the way how we can embody that in the role of
Exactly.
therapist or teacher without even speaking about it, because
Exactly.
in the end we are just human, we are vulnerable, we have made many mistakes, we are all having the same situation, and but we have a different sources that can help us to understand and to to rebalance again our energy, our understanding, also the way how we live. And I think this is good to combine, but in very skillful way. There are also some therapists who really combine that, like specifically.
Mm.
There are also systems called Buddhist psychotherapy, for example. Yeah, there are things like that, and also
It is exist already. Okay.
exists. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. In German, I know that in Austria, in Germany, there are several people who have also written books. How I call it also
This is
in such a
great.
way.
This is great.
Yeah, yeah, I can send you also the
S-
names of the
Mm.
books if you like. And also recently, I been able to listen to kind of introductory talks for an online seminar, which I couldn't attend. But it was a dialogue between two persons. One is called Gabor Mate. He's originally of Hungarian origin, and but he lives in US, and he's a specialized. He's a doctor in the trauma treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as he's a kind of one of those who, they have a name so in that field. And the other one is a spiritual teacher that I know only from the books and from video. His name is A.H. Almas. He's
Mm-hmm.
a kind of coming more from the maybe Sufi tradition, teaching a kind of direct approach to the mm, real nature, a little bit like in also in Dzogchen teaching is applied. But they both agreed, they see that how it is necessary to combine this, that like a trauma, um, which is not resolved, not we are not aware of, that can really be a great, has a great potential for our spiritual growth, but it
Exactly.
has to be addressed, has to be
Yes.
addressed.
Yes.
If it's not addressed, then spiritual path can even create even more problems. Yeah, can um, not speaking about fact that maybe sometimes some spiritual communities have not very healthy environment. It's not everything which is gold is a gold. It's not.
Exactly.
Sometimes there are also means we have to be aware of. I think for that reason, I think it's good to be kind of humble and just to look in his own behavior, to see my own family, for example, and try to like don't try to take everything in, everything which is there, also to appreciate his own one own roots, for
Mm.
example, because it can happen very easily that when we grew up in an environment that was not very good, and we have the tendency to kind of forget and just
Yeah.
dismiss that.
Yeah.
and but it remains. It remains somehow,
And if you
and
don't
it
work
has
on
to,
that, it's gonna stay there.
and has to be addressed in a gentle
Yes.
way, and has to be somehow integrated.
Mm,
And then it can really create such a good base for any spiritual practice or whatever, any life,
of course.
development. Doesn't have to be spiritual practice. Means I think this and I think this is the point of like transmitting knowledge from one culture to the other, also in different century, because when we are talking about Tibetan Buddhism, then we are talking mostly about last century,
Mm,
beginning of last century,
mm,
or even before. I mean, and then the teachers came to the West, and now we have again 21st century. I mean, it's like 50 years again in the future.
yeah.
It's definitely cannot be taken from one place to the other. It has to be understood how it can be skillfully applied, translated, and transmitted. Means many of the Buddhist teachers who live, for example, in the West for a long time, they also teach in different way now. They also, many of them, they kind of open to psychotherapy, for example, or other means of development, because they also see how the culture is. But I'm not saying that you that Buddhist practice, it's not enough. It is complete, but when it is applied correctly, then can be also complete. But if we feel like somehow we are not, we need something more to understand, then we should look and we should try to solve it or then.
When you were saying that the
Or not.
psychotherapy can open, like for the person, like a new space, actually the Buddhism can also open this new space and more like this new balance, new more positive space as well, no?
Exactly. I mean, in the same, it's like, yeah, anyway, there is so much overlapping, but
Mm, mm,
we try to define somehow. And I think the danger is when we are mixing up different things without really knowing. I
yeah,
think this is the point. That's why we can say it's coming from two different directions. But if when we understand really deeply the system, then in ourselves, we see also ourselves as we are. No? Also,
mm,
many times we say that our mind is like a mirror, that everything that appears is just like appearances, yeah, outside, inside. But sometimes we need a lot of times to see ourselves in the mirror as we are, as a
yeah,
human, as a normal
yeah,
human. Then maybe we have much more access to this mirror-like recognition of our mind.
exactly.
Just came to my mind now. I don't know if it's like that, but it could be also.
It's true, because you also, when you were speaking about the trauma, uh,
Yeah.
also, when I work with the people, I always try to say that trauma is the first step in a healing. So no matter,
Yes. Yes.
because it's, if as you said, if it's triggered, that trauma, it is, if it's really person digging into that, and if it's that trauma maybe later on gives the push for person to really analyze, to really check what it is it come from, this is actually the first step of the healing. And as you say, you have to first look
Exactly.
at yourself as a in a mirror, and from there it's all
Yes.
gonna start.
Yes. But of course, it takes time. No, we are
A lot.
sometimes,
A lot. It doesn't happen like
sometimes,
this.
sometimes we don't want to look because we cannot look. We are somehow
Mm,
so not our fault,
of course.
uh, but we have this responsibility to change ourselves in each moment. We can do
Mm,
that. We
mm,
cannot change the past, and yeah, we shouldn't be analyzing the past for years, but we should be also open to that and see how the past or whatever, yeah, influence our life and our behavior, and then we can integrate that, and with the help of other means we can quickly maybe change that, with such a manner that it also remains kind of changed. It doesn't fall back, all the time.
we were
It's,
mentioning like the traumas and things, and when and how can contemplative practices help for the people?
contemplative practices. I think now with this name, there are so many different things which can be understood as a contemplative practice. For me, it's like always something that helps to integrate our body, mind, breath, emotions, somehow integrate ourselves as a human being, but also then this recognition that we are interconnected, we are connected to the others, to the environment, also not feeling isolated. It's for me, contemplative praxis creates the space for this recognition, or this recognition, which is something which is from the beginning here. But there are so many. I mean, so many are connected with nature also. I think this is also important thing, that we kind of connect ourselves more with the nature.
Yeah.
And also with each other. It means there are methods, like in the contemplative psychology, there are methods of communication that we can apply. Like different, it comes also from the old Indian tradition of native Indians, like these circles, talking in the circles, and there are so many methods which are more based on listening and talking, presence in talking, listening, and always connecting with our real nature. I think in each of these practice, this is always the starting point, that we are actually trying to reconnect with our real nature and also practice out of this real nature. I mean, it doesn't mean that we are becoming somebody else, but when we are more connected, then we are more open. But in the same time, we feel also the boundaries of ourselves. We are not lost in the openness.
Yeah.
There is also this clarity, this recognition of distinguishing things. It's not like everything is one thing. There is this clarity also of recognizing what is good, what is maybe not good. And there is the aspect of warmth, means this quality of compassion, also self-compassion. All this ability to resound, have the how you call it in English, resonance.
The resonance.
Resonance. Yeah, to have the resonance with the surrounding and with also another human being. This is. And when we do more practices that are connected more with the body breath, we do it also, but in different way. Sometimes also it's nice when we practice like yoga, which you together, like in a group, and we have also this experience of this together. But also each of us, we can apply so many different things that we like. We feel like it's good for us to apply. It means yoga. The Yantra Yoga strengthens the body also. The body it's in good health. It is also important. We are more relaxed. The breath is more deep. We can also apply meditation in a better way. We can also work better in any kind of work we can do better if we are more relaxed and strong also. Should be also something that is useful in daily life. It should be integrated into daily life. It means also some exercises that we can do like in our office. We need for that 1 hour, 2 hours, and special place, special condition, but we can apply it in any moment. This is all important in our life.
It's very important, yeah.
Otherwise, we are always waiting for the break, for the better time,
and it never comes.
Yeah, never comes really. Yeah, it comes, but it goes again.
Yeah.
Try to do what we can. Means any kind of contemplative practice. I usually work more with body, breath, and presence, observing, and also these communication methods of listening, talking. Means this is, I think, it's what I also appreciate myself, but there are so many different other methods.
Endless also methods and benefits, no?
Yeah.
And what role do the body, emotions, conscious and unconscious mind and behavior play in contemplative psychology?
Mm, yeah, there are different layers. Uh, mm, Means there is also a way how we understand in contemplative psychology what body is, what is mind, what are emotions. This is one thing. But at first, of course, uh, as for us as a practitioners, we should be connected with our body. Means, of course, the base is a kind of a shamatha vipassana practice. Means we should be practicing mindfulness for ourselves in order to really be able to settle down, to create this, to re-recognize again this space, yeah, where everything is just like passing, coming and passing, and always try to keep the connection. One of my Buddhist teachers, he said once that when you recognize your real nature, I mean, we are recognizing in any moment, also in the encounter with other people. But sometimes we have experiences, maybe as you were telling the experience with meeting Dalai Lama. We have this kind of experience that is so vivid, no, so clear.
Yeah.
And then he said, this is like if there is a newborn baby, this experience. And now the newborn baby is like the middle of the battlefield, Means the battlefield means like the emotions, the outside, inside, and we should be protecting it like a little baby, like so precious, so precious. Means in the same way, this is in a moment trying to reconnect with that, and always protect, like if it's a battlefield. Then maybe in the course of time we don't see it as a battlefield, so then more like a potentiality, But sometimes it feels like a battlefield. Definitely means means the body is important because if we are kind of waking up, then we are waking up in our body, not somewhere outside. Means we should be also taking care of our body. Of course, we know the body is going to be old, also sick. We will be sick and we will be dying. But we have time. We can. We know we can. We have the body. We can take care of it, and we stay connected with the body and cultivate through the body the access, to other, to so the connection with the emotions like that. Means the body is the base. It's like the base, but of course, then we have emotions and thoughts and mind, breath. Means the breath is just another thing. Usually we apply also in Buddhist practice, but in the contemplative psychology as well, that we work with the breath while, for example, doing still meditation, then we reconnect with the breath. But we can apply coherent breathing or some other breathing technique. And then the emotions are like, we see them as an expression of our real nature. Chogyam Trungpa, he called our real nature in kind of Western, he used the name brilliant sanity, for example, or I think this was the one he used the most. I mean, he was not calling it Buddha nature, but as a brilliant sanity. I mean, something which is here. It's brilliant. It's there, and it's amazing. Or another name that I don't remember now. And means the emotions are also expression of this brilliant sanity, but as with trauma, they have potential. It's through the emotions we can discover also our brilliant sanity more. We can reconnect because for example, let's say anger, it's a kind of emotion that we all know. Actually, we know all the emotions because also there is in Buddhist teaching, also in the contemplative tradition, there is the teaching about that we have the seeds of the emotions. They are part of our existence. That's why we have the experiences. And as a human, we know, when I say anger, everybody knows what it is. Because we have the seed. But like, for example, anger is usually connected to when we feel like threatened. There is something It doesn't have to be ourselves, but can be also like other person, but it somehow attacks the integrity of our identity, no?
Exactly.
Means that's why we feel anger. That's why sometimes it appears also like just with the remembrance, with the past away, long time ago, years ago. Still, it can triggers. We meet situation and triggers out again the situation. Means there is this reaction, and this is also where a clarity. It's a kind of tells us a truth. No, there is something also clear, and also like anger can be very. It's usually like for sometimes when we are angry, but still connected with our, let's say, brilliant sanity, more or less. Yeah, then it's the ergo is kind of liberating. It's kind of cutting through. It's like a lightning flash in the sky, which illuminates the whole sky at that moment. Yeah, means we have this. It can also liberate like tension. Yeah, our tension, also tension in the group or whatever. Yeah, we can recognize like a truth. This is like that. Yeah, not like it was. I was thinking. Yeah, I mean this is the quality also of this. We call it Vajra in the contemplative psychotherapy. This is connected to one Buddha family also. Anyway, but erga can be also destructive, no? Because sometimes we have this, we are kind of convinced about our truth, no? Yeah. Then we are closing up. We kind of create narrow view, and we are closing up from the other possibilities, no? And then we are also destroying. Yeah?
Exactly, because it's like a block.
It's like a block, but in the beginning, it's like is a kind of a spark of clarity. There is something not correct, or something that has to be understood, yeah, changed. Yeah? This is the first spark. This is also important. Sometimes compassion can be also wrathful, no? And we recognize something is not good, like in our behavior or whatever. Yeah, then this can be also an expression of compassion. It doesn't have to be always very kind. It can have also this aspect of clarity, which comes with the erga. No? And so the other emotions, when we see them more like a possibility. But of course, when we are too much controlled by them, no? Especially because in contemplative psychotherapy, we talk also about this touching and going. Yeah. It's like the experience is coming, you see, touch, and then you come into contact, but then you let go. This is not so easy. Yeah, but it is possible because this is our nature. I mean, I have these experiences, but I have also the experiences of where it's not possible at all, even though I know it's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then there is this stuckness, and then this repetition and disconnected with, somehow it starts in the body, but then thought comes and the thought creates emotion. And this even like intensifies that, yeah, and the emotion is becoming like so real, but actually it started with the spark. Started with the spark, but it became something so real, which in the end, when it's faded, after it's fading away, we see it was like a dream. There was nothing real.
Exactly.
I mean, there was something, but it was the spark. But the other thing, this creation of this concrete story, yeah, it's like a dream, and we were just lost in that dream, and that's why. And then we recognize that, and we come back home, and continue like that. But and the mind, mind is of course the boss, no, the mind, but it's connected with our emotion, with our energy. It's so connected. Yeah, it's not so easy to separate. But of course, if we are trying to keep our mind open, but at the same time also observe ourselves, what thoughts are coming, which habits are coming back. Is there jealousy always appearing, in some situations, and then, but it appears also in other situations. That means there is something we can should be addressed. Yeah, can be addressed in very gentle way. Yeah, of observing, and understanding. Jealousy sometimes is connected to that we feel not enough. We feel somehow, and then we have this. We create this, say, this habit, of protecting that. This, this soft, broken heart. Yeah. And but in the end, when we see, then we see we are so rich. We have so much potentiality. Yeah? We are usually accomplished so many things in our life. We are so beautiful human being. We don't have really we don't have to be jealous. It can be also work like that. But sometimes
Mm.
we can touch that also, and then just vanishes, disappears, changes. But for example, like in the contemplative psychotherapy, we have psychology, we have also method, which is a supervision method.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, supervision is a method where you come to somewhere, there is a supervisor, no, who and you are telling him about your client or whatever, and trying to get some feedback from him and help. But this is a contemplative way of supervision, and it's applied in the group. And it's called body, speech, mind supervision.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, for example, we are describing a client. He's not present, but we are kind of aware of that he's not present, and we are always trying to recognize. This is also important in the work of the contemplative psychotherapist, that he's recognizing the brilliant sanity in himself, but also in the client.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if the client is completely crazy. Yeah? And for this, craziness should be addressed, and for that, the psychotherapist has also training, has a skill. No? Means he has a one point is this training in practice and the recognition of his own brilliant sanity, but also skill of like a methodology that also is important.
Of course.
But that's why we try to keep that. Yeah, and in this method, we are describing, for example, client. So one person who knows the client describes him, and he describes him according to body, speech, and mind. And the body, the description of the body, it's not simply the body, how big is the person, and the description is also like it's not it's just descriptive, like you are describing it without putting too much analytic or some ideas into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which we try to describe as it would be like a picture that you are describing. As you describe the body, how is the nose, the eyes, yeah, and then bodies are also the environment, like the apartment. Yeah, means how is the apartment? How is the light there? Are there some flowers? Yeah, is there a cat? How he's eating? Yeah, or is he driving a car? Yeah, what is his work? Yeah, means the body is something that we can touch. It's a kind of more physical. Yeah, so we can touch it. It's like we can see it with our senses, perceive with our senses, and we can touch it. Yeah, this is like the body aspect. It's not only the body, but it's so much. Yeah?
Exactly.
For example, if you look a room of somebody or a house, you already see the expression, his
Mm.
being
It's true.
also. No? Not only how he looks like. Yeah? Even he's not talking, you already know. Maybe you feel there is a
Exactly.
kind of way he's manifesting. And the emotions, the other part is like a speech. Means it's like how we speak. Which speed, how many languages, for example, do we speak like fast, or is there pauses, how we are articulating things, are we speaking like the whole sentence till the end, and there are emotions, like how we express emotions, which emotions are more present, how are also our relationships, yeah? And means the aspect of the speech, and also how is our breath, it's like the way how we communicate, how we connect with the others,
Mm.
with the world, how we go into the connection, with ourselves, but also the outside. Means the body is more concrete, and emotions or speech is something we can hear, but we can perceive, it's more like a sensing. There is not so much fruit. You cannot like grasp it, but you somehow feel, no? You hear, you hear, and you know that in this intonation there is something, but you cannot say it's like that, but you have this perception of that. And the mind is more how we think, how is our view of the world. Do we see the world like that, or like a dark place, or are we vegetarians? Yeah, our ideas, our concepts, no, our recognitions of our views, basically, and how we think also, what kind of interest we have, what we read, what we study. This also tells about the mind level. Means we see it also like in more larger perspective, like the whole world we could describe in these categories. Of course, the categories cannot be separated, but we separate them in order to create a kind of a space for understanding. But they are like entwined, they are like together. Of course, the body is an expression of the mind. Mind is expression of the body. The emotion is an expression of the body. But we have this way also of observing our dimension.
Wow, it's actually it's very complex when you
It's
start
complex,
digging
but
it
also
deeper.
simple. It's also very simple. Everything actually it's very simple. But sometimes when we describe it seems like complicated, but it's always our brilliant sanity, And out of the brilliant sanity, we have some frame. We create some container,
Yes.
And that we can work. But we know what is the essence, and we don't get lost just because of the complexity of the method.
For me, it reminds me when you all described it all, it reminded me, I was going through the yoga teacher training lately, and the master was explaining all of the levels as well of the yoga. And this was also reminded me this very complex classifications. It's not only about the body, but it's also about everything, about the behavior, about how we see about the emotions and so on. I found some similarities actually with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm sure there are always, this is reflected to everywhere. In some other way, you can find it different ways, different traditions. Yeah, I'm sure.
I just mentioned yoga. What does yoga mean to you, for example?
Yeah. Actually, when I think about myself, I don't really I don't consider myself as a yogin. Yeah,
even though that you're the yoga teacher.
I am, and it's true. But I came to practice of Yantra Yoga because of my interest, and working with mind and receiving Buddhist Dzogchen teachings. And I am practitioner of yoga, definitely, but sometimes because I became now a member of Austrian Yoga Association, and I feel it's very beautiful, but it's like for me something new because I consider myself as a kind of normal person, practitioner and of the Yantra Yoga and also teaching the Yantra Yoga, but I consider myself like a yoga, yoga dimension. But of course, yeah. For example, the Tibetan name for yoga means Naljor in Tibetan. This is very old name, which came probably from the 8th century or 9th century, from the early phase of translation in Tibet. And Nalma means like innate essence, like something like the brilliant sanity. Yeah. But in Tibetan language, we have so many different words that describe the same, but a little bit in different aspects, because the Tibetan classical language is built, around this knowledge. They have so many different terms that are kind of pointing to the same point. Means means like the innate essence, which is something which is intrinsic here, already. And Jorva means to connect or to discover. Means like in Tibetan means yoga like to discover or connecting to the real nature. We can simplify it, say. Means this is what yoga means in Tibetan. And we do it in Yantra Yoga through the movement, for combining the breath, the movement, and the presence of the mind and the open presence, but also the presence which is rooted in our body. And it is like for me, it's like a dance sometimes. Of course, it is physical, but there is also this balance of this male and female energy for me in Yantra Yoga. Because for me, when I speak about yoga, I can speak about Yantra Yoga. This is what I practice since I don't know, 20 years, and did practice also other yoga traditions, but never really with such a depth and understanding. Means even in Yantra, I feel many times I don't really understand still, but means it's a kind of expression of our behavior, no?
Mm.
It's like how we behave, because how we behave is a somehow expression of them, of that also how we are and how is our mind, body, no? And emotions. Is a kind of expression, and also through the behavior we can influence again the body, speech, and mind. No? It's like going back and forth. Means Yantra is an expression of our real nature, but it's also physical exercise that helps us to strengthen the body, to harmonize the energy. We speak about 5 pranas, no? 5 different prana energy in the body. We have the recognition of the organs according to Tibetan medicine. Means we have the understanding that Yantra Yoga. I have to also say this Yantra Yoga is one of the many Yantra Yoga traditions in Tibet. It's the one lineage of the Yantra Yoga that Chogyam Trungpa was teaching. We have different, yeah.
Okay.
So Yantra Yoga is like when you say yoga, yeah, it's Yantra Yoga means true core exercises that are so different, many, yeah, in Tibet. Means and in this Yantra Yoga, we basically, combine the breath, the presence, and then the relaxation in between. Like again, doing something and then doing nothing, and just being that what remains after the effort, let's say. But the effort is also not so, shouldn't be such a great effort. It's an effort to combine the presence, the movement with the breath, but we don't have to break our legs, or something. I mean, we can also, but we have also many exercises that we can break everything, but it's not the main point. Means I'm more like in this understanding. Also, I think this is our understanding of Yantra Yoga, that it's more like the dance of the different aspects of ourself, our expression. It can help us also to again to reconnect, and it's also mindfulness practice, because when you practice, you cannot think about so many things. I mean, if you think, you get distracted, then you do something else. Means it's also very good mindfulness practice. It combines breath, presence, and the body movement. Means this is what for me yoga means, or Yantra Yoga in this case. But again, it's not disconnected from my. I try to practice in such a way that it remains present. Like even though I leave home and I walk, somehow it should it remains in
should stay inside.
In the I mean, sometimes I forget about it completely. But let's be honest, I have to admit that. But many times I remember, and I think, oh well, how I should do something. How it was in Yantra, in these purification breathings, you can do them anytime. Means, basically just normal human being, but reminded and having, let's say, some this fortune of being able to know some means that can help. Yeah, this is from Yantra Yoga.
Do you think that Yantra Yoga, for example, and the breathing techniques and exercises can help people to become happier in this hectic and busy world, materialized world nowadays we are having?
Well, I think it is one of the methods that can help. So Chogyam Trungpa, he decided to teach this Yantra Yoga openly also for this reason, that he thought it might be useful for anybody. Also, anybody can learn a great part of this Yantra Yoga. So there are many teachers. Also in the Respira harmonious breathing, there are also number of teachers in each country. Also in Yantra Yoga, we are many teachers. I mean, not many. We are maybe 100 something, which is not many for the whole.
Exactly, because with the Yantra Yoga, it's way less than with the traditional Hatha Yoga.
That's true, because our training was somehow different, and the main teacher, Chogyam Trungpa, was authorizing us, and he is not here. This is also the effect of that. But still, no. And I think so there is a book which is you can buy. Also for the Respira, there is a book. Means it's something that, like for example, if somebody to my courses usually come people who are kind of Buddhist, they are interested in Buddhism, and they look for yoga, which is a Buddhist more like, or people who practice other yoga tradition also come. Sometimes other the teachers of other, let's say, hatha yoga traditions. So many, and they find it as inspiration. They also for their own practice, and also like even people who don't practice any yoga, they somehow appreciate this, yeah, this dance or this combination, this synchronization of body, breath, and mind, and also this physicality as well. This is something also for the body, well, for the stretch and for the, yeah, also I'm sure it also has a good effect for the heart rate variability. We didn't measure these things, but I'm sure it will have also similar effects. The vagus nerve. Like that means I always feel after Yantra Yoga, I always think, why I didn't do that yesterday. I try to practice regularly, but sometimes I feel like, that's great, but why? What I did yesterday? It's for me like that, no? I think I guess that each of us have some favorite, exercises or methods, contemplative practices.
So you were saying now, mentioning now the daily practices. Then what is your morning routine like? Are you practicing this in the mornings, or how does it for you personally?
Yeah, I would love to have a kind of stable routine, but it's not like that. But yeah, definitely, I do it in the morning practice. It's like more sitting practice, or Yantra Yoga, or sometimes I practice Qigong also. Depends. It's definitely, I feel like when I start in the morning with something which synchronizes, especially after waking up. After waking up, there is a little bit something mixed up, many things, many times. Sometimes you wake up, you are clear, but many times no.
Most of the times, no.
Yeah, and that's why for that reason is the kind of like inner shower, The outer shower is it's clear, it's very good, but this is the inner shower. And I always try to do something, even if it's only 5 minutes. Sometimes it's half an hour or 1 hour. It depends how much time I have. But also I try to be not too strict, because I know for me it's good also to have this, just to see what I like to do also, not to have already the idea what I should do, which I also have this tendency. And I try to balance it. Sometimes do nothing also. It's also a very good routine. It's kind of enjoy, just enjoy this, because the fruit of the practice, it's not disappearing after,
No.
3 hours, it remains. So even if you don't do 1 week something, so there is still this recognition. But if we stop again to take care of this, this cultivation, this remembering through the cultivation, then we can get also lost. Then we have to find our way back. But it also depends, no? Each of us is different, and it's not one way. Yeah.
You were mentioning also many books during this episode of the podcast. Is there any important book that helped you improve over the years?
Well, there are for sure many books about teachings of Jogile, but also recently I was reading a lot of research also about this neurobiology and things like that. I mean, it's always there's always some insight. So there are really good scientists in these days who are also practitioners, but also able to create research and also write it down, formulate it. It's also very, very inspiring. But now just I was, as I said, for the harmonious breathing and Yantra, there are books anyway, also in contemplative psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this contemplative psychotherapy I described is like the one which is connected with Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche in the 70s. But now under contemplative psychotherapy, we can find many different also aspects connected to, I don't know, positive neuroplasticity and all this research about self-compassion, mindfulness means there. It's included now.
Mm.
And I have just recently, I don't find the book now. There is a book written by Dzigar Konchul Rinpoche. He's a Buddhist teacher living in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote a book which is called Training in Tenderness.
Mm-hmm.
He calls this brilliant sanity like tsewa. In Tibetan is called tsewa. Tsewa means like love, but also tenderness. And he's describing it as a tender heart. And the book is very nice. It's I like very much the way how he's describing it. Yeah, and he also gave talks about this training in tenderness. You can find in YouTube.
Training it.
But
Mm-hmm.
also, I consider him as a very quick teacher, so very accessible for living in the West. Also, this is training in tenderness. It's a very nice book. I'm reading it now and trying to make some notes and then maybe write kind of a review or a little bit like that.
Mm.
But otherwise, as you see, yeah, I'm sitting in my room and there are many
Yes,
books.
it's the first thing what I saw was all of these books.
it's, well, I'm not so proud. So, I mean, it's nice to have books, but just a book. But yeah, books are nice. There are so many, so many. But sometimes it's like that. I come across to something that just I was not planning.
Mm.
And I am, for example, also this system called Jinkies. This is like a Western system created by Richard Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
He's a kind of, and I don't know if you know human design. It's a kind of astrology
Mm-hmm.
system. Anyway, there are so many things that are also like recent and let's say created with somebody who lives in the West. Yeah, also very
Exactly.
inspiring. Yeah, very profound teachings. It's also we can always look around what is just now coming out, and it can be also very inspiring. It doesn't have to be coming from the Tibetan teacher. It can be also from others. Yeah.
You are so full of the information and full of the history and full. I'm sure you are something passionate about. So, what are you currently most passionate about?
About simplicity. Really, I try to. That's what I try to live. Kind of. Yeah, this fullness. It's beautiful, but it has also the essence. That is the simplicity. I'm just also try to be kind of satisfied with what you have. Just enjoy. Trying to be passionate about kind of normality now. Also in this lockdown, we have a lockdown again here in Vienna, and yeah, it's a time to kind of stay alone, teach online, and it kind of remembers you of the impermanence. The years are passing, and kind of trying to recollect, to reflect also, and just to see, that in this fullness there is also like one meeting point. That means I'm trying to kind of stay with that. I'm passionate about not to get too excited.
Exactly.
Not to get passionate too much. Something like that. But it's to find the balance, no?
Exactly.
It's always the point. Also meeting people, which is not so easy. So I enjoy also. Sometimes I think I should open again a tea house because I liked very much in Prague.
It's a beautiful idea.
I was working in mental hospital, and as a balance, I was working in a tea house, which was quite a different situation. And I like this preparing tea, different temperature of the water, and then
it's
serving.
also like mindfulness, no?
Yeah, it's a mindfulness, but it was also kind of a service. There's also something that I do. But also I enjoy it, and the tea has also good kind of influence on your mind, and you open up, become more easy
Exactly.
easy in talking. And yeah, so I planning to actually invite some people for kind of tea house occasion in my home, in our home.
Super nice.
So I would
Super
like
nice.
to kind of create kind of a simple containers for encounters of different people, an exchange, and a little bit get in touch also with with new people. I don't know. I hope I will, through the yoga association, maybe I meet also other people, and whatever will be coming across in my life. Invite him for a cup of tea. Also you,
Beautiful.
maybe.
Beautiful. Now I want to come to
Maybe you
Vienna
will
for a
come.
cup of tea.
Very nice things here, very nice. And you can say, I would like to feel like that. And then I choose a tea and prepare it.
Super nice. I like the
better
idea.
than mindfulness practice or
Exactly.
practice.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, it can be combined.
It can be combined. Exactly.
Yes,
and
sure.
we can have a very good conversation with that. Exactly.
Yes.
I wish you I wish you a lot of luck with the new ideas and the new projects.
Yes. Let's stay humble, and I think life is also kind of is a mystery, no? Sometimes you have a kind of project, no, kind of idea, but it's also nice to let go and be open and just receive this mystery, and so this have this curiosity for things. Remain connected with our brain sanity. It's always this is the only thing we need, really. And the other things, they can just happen. You don't have to manipulate the reality, in order to protect our identity. I mean, sometimes, but it's a balance. No, we need that, but also sometimes it's also nice to receive the presence, just from the life itself.
Exactly. Just keep on living.
Keep on living. Yeah, drinking tea and do a little bit working and then drinking tea again.
Exactly.
A bit of yantra and whatever we need to do.
So for the people who is actually would like to try any of your breathing techniques or the yantra yoga or anything, how can they find you? Tell everyone how everyone can find you.
First of all, I'm just one of several. Means you can find also in the countries they live someone. Otherwise, I have a website, just my name, .com.
I will put it in the description.
And it's the website is in German in the moment, and will be also in English, but now it's in the moment. Also, I'm teaching mostly in German, as I'm based now in Austria, in Vienna, but I also teach in English, of course, and also in Czech. And I have the occasions basically through the website there is also contact for more. You can write, and I can send you the news about what I'm planning. Yeah, like that.
Are you teaching now mostly online? I assume, no?
Mostly online. I was teaching now offline and online at the same time, kind of hybrid, which is let's say, is better than it's like the situation is, but it's not like that I would like to continue like that, because it's always kind of losing this presence is to be divided. But now I'm teaching again online because we cannot do anything else, cannot meet, means I'm teaching online. But I think the online teaching has also advantages, but sometimes maybe it's good to, like, as for Yantra Yoga, to like take a course live somewhere with someone, and then you can continue also online. But I think the combination is good. it's good. Yeah.
Jan, thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing all of this knowledge you have, and this was amazing.
Well, yeah, I hope. I feel also it was nice to talk to you. You were kind of creating the space, no, in which I could share something. I think it was again this dialogical situation. No? It's not. It's like together, a space created together. Also, I was thinking about the audience sometimes. Even I don't know, but try to also that is also embedded, the situation of somebody else listening. Yeah, and then I was kind of trying to speak freely without so much control and.
Why I actually wanted also to do that, I wanted to make people to get also the interest more into Yantra Yoga, because I have the feeling this is the most well, since it's that not that as popular as the Hatha Yoga, for example, so not many people even knows about the existence of the Yantra Yoga, and I was always the one like speaking a lot to the people around and saying, oh, did you know? So I really hope that many people after seeing this podcast is going to get the interest in trying that, and also in trying all of the possible breathing techniques, because as you mentioned before, this is endless benefits for the all of us living in this busy life, in this always changing world. And thank you again, thank you so much for being, thank you so much for joining this podcast. This is also going to be very special because it's the last podcast of this year.
The 12th. I see.
Exactly, it's going to be published in beginning of the December, so hopefully people are gonna have something to contemplate as well during this time, the Christmas time, the holidays. And yes, I'm actually going to record, I think, the last one during the Christmas on the New Year, but this is going to be published in the January already.
Yes.
But we're gonna close the year with a very, very calm and very spiritual mood. I'm really happy.
Yeah, I'm happy too. And of course, if anybody from the audience is interested and can find me through the website, write a question or share something, maybe they also maybe similar experiences, or always happy to hear.
And for everyone who is watching or listening it, thank you again for taking this time and learning something new, or seeing again another person sharing his own experience and influencing others. And yes, hopefully all of us see you next year again, and have a good time, have a good holidays, and see you next time.
Okay, thank you. See you some other time.